boys and girls of grade 5, and welcome to another English language lesson. However, today we will be looking at things vocabulary. Our topic for today is prefix. We have already dealt with suffixes, which is the addition of a syllable to the end of a word. However, today we want to look at prefix. What is a prefix? A prefix is a syllable which is added to the beginning of a word to modify or change its meaning. It is therefore a letter or group of letters placed before the root of a word. Prefixes help to add complexity to the English language and make it possible to create new words that are easily understood by speakers everywhere. Understanding a few prefix examples will help you to apply logic to new words and interpret them appropriately. For example, the prefix de means to undo something and is usually attached to a verb. Thus, if we take the verb activate, which means to put something to use, and we add the prefix de to the beginning of activate, we will get the word deactivate, which means to take something out of use. Likewise, adding de to other verbs reverses their original meaning. For example, decompose or devalue. Several prefixes serve to make the new word mean the opposite or nearly the opposite of the original word of the base word. For example, if we have the prefix dis, dis, meaning removal or apart, we can get new words such as disagree, disapprove, or disconnect. There are many prefixes that don't make the original meaning of the root word an opposite, but rather it alters it in a unique way, such as expressing relationships of time, place, or manner. For example, the prefix auto, meaning self, can form words such as autobiography, autograph, or automobile. Let's look at some common prefixes, their meanings, and examples. The first prefix we have is ab, which means away or from. By using this prefix, we can form words such as abnormal or abstract. There is also the prefix ante, but this one is spelled ante, and it means before. So we may have a word such as antecedent. But there is also anti, spelled anti, which means against, and we can have words such as antibiotic. There is also the prefix circum, spelled circum, which means around. If you remember from mathematics, you would be familiar with the word circumference, which means the distance around a circle. There is also the word circumvent. Another prefix is counter, which means opposite, where we might have words such as counterclockwise or counterargument, which is an argument against a particular proposition. Earlier, as we said in previous example, there is the prefix de, which means down or away, where we can have words such as deduct, derail. There is also the prefix dia, which means through or across, and we might have words such as diameter, diagonal, or diagram. There is also dis, which means not or removal. And examples of this prefix in use are disappear or discourage. En is another prefix, which means intensify, where we can have enlarge or entangle or enrage or envelope. There is the prefix ex, which means former or out. And examples might include ex-wife, exit, exclude, or expand. We also have fore, F-O-R-E, which means front, and examples might include forehead, foretell, forecast, or foresight. Also, we can have im or in, which both means not or without. Examples might include impure or impossible, or insane, or incomplete. There is also the prefix ir, which means not or no. And we might have words such as irreplaceable, irregular, and irrelevant. The prefix mal means bad or badly. And you can find words such as malpractice, malfunction, and maltreat as words making use of this said prefix. Mini, meaning small, include words such as mini mart, mini skirt, or minibus. Mis is another prefix, which means bad, and examples might include misconduct, misinform, or misbehave. We also have the prefix non, which means not, and it might have words which are usually hyphenated, such as non-smoker, non-alcoholic, or nonsense. There's the prefix out, which means surpassing, like you might outgrow your clothes, or some person might outbid another, or there is the other, outplay. Over is another prefix, which means above or excessively, and we might have words such as overhead, overpass, overgrown, or overlook making use of this prefix. There are other examples of prefixes which might include post, which means after, and might include examples such as postpaid, postmortem, or postpone. Pre is another common prefix, which means before, such as the words prenatal, which means care before pregnancy, and precaution or preschool. There's also the prefix semi, which means half, and you might find words such as semicircle, semi-conscious, or semi-final. On is another common prefix, with examples such as unclear, unsuitable, unsure, undue, and unfriendly. Under, meaning too little, might find examples such as underpaid, underdeveloped, or understand. By is another prefix which I'm sure you know means two or twice, where we might have examples such as bisect, which means to cut something into two, or bicycle, and even biannual. Lastly, there's the prefix contra, which means against, for example, in the word contradict. So boys and girls, let's look at an exercise where we will insert a suitable prefix to the words in capitals. so that we can complete these sentences correctly. The first sentence reads, Malta is a something drink. Here, the word in capitals is alcoholic. Can you think of the most suitable prefix to attach to this word? If you are thinking along the lines of none, then you are correct. So the sentence would read, Malta is a non-alcoholic drink. Next, Diane needs to go on a diet because she is something. The word in capitals is weight. Add a suitable prefix. Definitely. Based on the context of this sentence, we should add the prefix over. And so the sentence would read, Diane needs to go on a diet because she is overweight. Next, the something showed that the batsman was not out. Our word in capitals is play. What is the suitable prefix for this word? Yes, we should add re, and so we will get the word replay. The replay showed that the batsman was not out. Next, Thomas was something because he had not attended any school. The word in capitals is literate. What is the most suitable prefix for this root word? Definitely. If you chose IL, then you are correct. And so your sentence would read, Thomas was illiterate because he had not attended any school. Next, chlorine was added to the something water. Here, our word in capitals is pure. If you use the prefix im to form the new word impure, then you are correct. And so the sentence would read, chlorine was added to the impure water. Next, GPL had to something persons who did not pay their light bills. The word in capitals is connect. What is the most suitable prefix to attach to this root word? If you're thinking along the lines of this, then you are definitely correct. And so your sentence would read, GPL had to disconnect persons who did not pay their light bills. Further, it is something to count all the stars. The word in capitals is possible. Boys and girls, if you use the prefix im to attach to the root word possible, then you are correct. And so your sentence would read, it is impossible to count all the stars. Lastly, ink fell on Samantha's dress and something it. The word in capitals is color. Choose a suitable prefix to attach to that root word. Boys and girls, your answer should be dis. And so the new word formed would be discolored. And so the sentence would read, ink fell on Samantha's dress and discolored it. I will now allow you some time to work on this exercise independently. Here, you will use suitable prefixes to find the opposite of these verbs. Let's go through those answers. Number 1, wrap. The opposite would be unwrap. Number 2, the word is use. The opposite of use would be misuse. At number 3, your verb was agree. I'm sure you have as the opposite disagree. 4, engage. The opposite, disengage. At number 5, we had the verb behave. And the opposite of behave is misbehave. Number 6, understand. Opposite, misunderstand. Next, fold. The opposite being unfold. Spell verb. Opposite of spell, misspell. Connect, opposite, disconnect. And lastly, verb close. Opposite, disclose. If you had all of these correct, or even 8 or 9, very good job. So boys and girls, I'm sure that you now have a clearer understanding of prefixes, their meanings, and their correct usage. But before we go, let's recap today's lesson. Prefixes are letters which we add to the beginning of a word to make a new word with a different meaning. Prefixes can, for example, create a new word opposite in meaning to the word the prefix is attached to. They can also make a word negative or express relations of time, place, or manner. For example, when the prefix un is added to the word happy, it creates the word unhappy. So boys and girls, that brings us to the end of our vocabulary class for today. I trust that you will revise what you have learned and make an effort to employ it in your everyday life. I read a quote by one Henry Hazlitt that says, "A man with a scant vocabulary will almost certainly be a weak thinker." What this means, boys and girls, is that if we have limited or small vocabulary, we would not be able to think logically and brilliantly. So let's continue to work together so that we can have a solid and not scant vocabulary. It is at this juncture that I will say so long until we meet again for another chance to focus on things vocabulary.